I'm going to talk to you about standardized testing. Is it the bane of the American school system? In Texas, the state that once led the way on public school transformation following the No Child Left Behind Act of 2000, we have as many as 15 standardized tests per year. After the landmark legislation that was passed in November, Texas has lowered that number to 4. 37 other states around the union have lowered their tests also and are progressively legislating information on the effects of the test on the students, the teachers, and the schools themselves. The purpose of my speech today is to persuade you that students at all levels are being overly tested, which is causing an extreme amount of stress on them, the teachers, and the school districts. I feel that I can speak credibly about this as I have studied extensively online through newspapers, periodicals, and magazines the effects of testing and their uses. I will cite numerous sources as well as include the following points that outline the negative effects of testing. The excessive number of hours spent at school with teachers teaching only to the test mandates and subjects. The educational liability in that students have no use or education on creative writing or creative skills. The tests are prejudicial to low-income as well as special needs students as they use the same test across the board regardless of education or income level. I will cite experts, and I conducted a peer-reviewed study using online media to ask teachers and their students and their parents how they feel about standardized testing. A new study indicates that testing is costing $1.7 billion annually. The study's author, Matthew Chingo, states that if those costs were redirected to teacher salary, it would raise the average teacher's pay by $550 a year. More importantly, schools were promised billions in grants if they would use these same tests to measure teacher performance, as good or bad, related to how the test performances were done. In the article, The High Stakes of Standardized Testing by Stephen Kastenbaum from March 17, 2012 in CNN Online News, Principal Anna Allenbrook at Public School 146 in Brooklyn, New York, stated, "I find it the most absurd thing in the world. I don't know anyone who thinks they're valid. So the morale is down because teachers are worried that people who don't really know their work will make decisions about their jobs." It also noted in the article that the outgoing Texas education administrator is said to have referred to standardized testing as the heart of the vampire. The time spent on testing is extreme. In Chicago, one teacher estimates that 12 hours plus 2 full school days are spent on testing before midterms. In the article, Standardized Testing is completely out of control. In Policy Mike, on December 29, 2012, Daniel Dower explains Texas classrooms spend an average of 5 full school weeks on teaching the exam material, taking the exams. Many states are fixing to adopt the Common Core Standards exams, which test every grade level from kindergarten through 12th grade, which will effectively double the amount of time spent on testing, which gives test writers much more ability to control what's taught in the classrooms than do teachers or administration. The liability to students is that they see no purpose for creative writing assignments, for assigned reading, as it cannot be tested and is not used in the standardized testing format because they cannot be graded. In the ASCD article, What Students Need to Learn by Jane David in March 2011, she compiled figures that indicate that schools across the board have lowered the amount of time spent on math and English. In math, up to 47%, and in English, 37%, so that they could devote more time to the standardized testing teaching. In schools with low performing grades, these times are very exaggerated because teachers pay and their performance is based on these scores. Experts at the American Education Research Association, along with other experts in the field of education, performed a study on testing analysis of teachers and students and found analysis of value-added models results show that they are often unstable across time, classes, and tests. Thus, test scores, even with the addition of value-added models, are not accurate indicators of teacher effectiveness. Student test scores, even with VAM, cannot fully account for the wide range of factors that influence student learning, particularly the backgrounds of students, school supports, and the effectiveness of lost summer time. As a result, teachers who teach students with the greatest educational needs appear to be less effective than they really are. Furthermore, VAM does not take into account non-random sorting of teachers to students across schools and students to teachers within schools, published by the Economic Policy Institute. On my peer opinion survey, I found a teacher that stated that standardized testing turns off the brightest lights. Another longtime teacher said that she was considering quitting in spite of her love for teaching and for her students because of the extreme levels of pressure by the administration to perform well on the tests. She just did not feel like she could withstand it much longer. Special needs students are tested under the same test guidelines as regular students, with the only thing that they have to help them is the teachers can read them the information. However, the students are unable to understand the questions or the answers, and thereby the teachers look as if they're not performing because the scores are obviously low. In conclusion, testing creates high levels of anxieties for both students and teachers. Special needs and at-risk students are unfairly prejudiced. The excessive amount of time and money spent on these tests that have no outcome that can be measured and have no use for teachers or the administration. And students graduating from high school today have no critical thinking skills, and professors in college are frustrated because students expect to be told the answers to tests and cannot write essays. The purpose of this speech was to persuade you to the liability of standardized testing on both the teachers and the students in today's schools. In conclusion, is standardized testing destroying American schools? I think it's well on its way. What do you think? Thank you.